The entertaining story begins with the year 18560. The workers had to be a bit cautious because during the excavation, several poisonous gases would escape from the ground. But none of the employees knew that something far more dangerous than gas was about to emerge. They continued doing their work without interruption, but suddenly, some workers felt that there was something else besides them in that mining area because now a strange sound was coming from the cave. One of the workers got extremely frightened, but when the others went to check, they suddenly saw a long hand on the wall. This hand didn't look like it belonged to a human at all. It appeared large and dangerous, hidden in the dark. One employee lit a candle to get a better look, but the strange creature disappeared into the shadows. However, the worker wasn't aware that the cave contained many poisonous and flammable gases, and because of the lit candle, an explosion started to occur. The workers managed to escape the mining area by any means possible, and after that, the mine was never reopened. Now, after several years, we are shown a different time, where a boy named Adam is inside a house. Adam had just woken up from a terrifying dream, which he could barely believe, but such dreams were common for him. Just then, Adam's friend called for him, waiting downstairs. Adam quickly got ready and went to see his friend to find out what was so important. His friend informed him that they had received a job offer for work at a mining area in France, and they were offering much more money than their usual jobs. When Adam heard this, he started thinking that he should take the job because he was born into a poor family and didn't have much money. If he worked in the mining area, he could earn some money, which would be good for his family. So, without further delay, Adam and his friend set off for the place in France where employees would be selected for work in the mining area. Many people had gathered there. All the applicants stood together in front of their mentor, who would decide who was fit to work in the mining area. He held two stamps in his hand, a red stamp, meaning the applicant was unfit for the job, and a green stamp, indicating selection. The mentor rejected many applicants, and then he reached Adam's friend. Upon seeing him, Adam's friend began to cough, which led the mentor to assume he was very sick and couldn't handle the work. As a result, Adam's friend was not selected. When the mentor approached Adam, he too was rejected because the mentor thought Adam appeared too weak for the job. But Adam desperately needed the job, so he bravely confronted the mentor and grabbed the green stamp, pressing it onto his own wrist. Adam confidently claimed that now no one would know he had been rejected. The mentor was shocked by Adam's bold move, as he initially seemed like a quiet and reserved guy, but now he showed great courage and acted without hesitation. This was exactly the type of employee they needed for the mining area, so the mentor decided to give him a chance and officially selected him with a green stamp. However, the mentor still intended to keep a close watch on Adam and instructed his seniors to send him to the most difficult part of the mining area. Adam was now sent to the mining area with the other workers to learn the job, and that place was mine number 5, a site where so many employees had died that they couldn't even be counted. But Adam wasn't aware of these things yet. All he wanted was to earn some money by working there. At this point, we are introduced to a professor who wanted to conduct some investigations for his research. He planned to explore different aspects of the mining area to include them in his novel. The professor went directly to the manager of the mining site. After explaining everything to the manager, he requested permission to enter the mine and complete his investigation. However, the manager absolutely refused, as going into the mining area was incredibly risky. The manager was reluctant to allow the professor, who had no experience, to enter the dangerous mine. He knew that the professor's life could be at risk. This was why he initially refused the professor's request to conduct research there. However, the professor had a solution. He bribed the manager with a large sum of money, and the manager immediately agreed. Just then, news came that an emergency had occurred in mine number 5. Both the manager and the professor rushed to the site. The emergency was caused by the release of a strange gas, trapping several employees inside. One worker had seriously injured his leg and might never walk again. Fortunately, a brave employee named Roland managed to rescue all the trapped workers. Everyone was astonished by Roland's heroic act, as he was known to be the best worker in the mining area, capable of handling any task with skill and efficiency. Impressed by Roland's performance, the manager called him to his office. He instructed Roland to accompany the professor and his team to mine number 5 for their research. At first, Roland was unwilling to agree, but the manager threatened to fire him if he refused, leaving Roland with no choice but to accept the mission. This meant that Roland would now form a team to accompany the professor into the mine. Surprisingly, Adam was included in this team, even though he didn't understand why he had been chosen for such a difficult mission. However, since it was decided, Adam had no choice but to go along. Adam soon met many people who had come from different places to work on this mission. He even made some good friends, who guided him through the process. The first task for Roland and his team was to clear the path ahead in the mining area. They needed bombs to blast through the rock and create a safe passage. Once they successfully created the path, the team was ready to take the professor into the mine. However, as they descended with the help of a pulley, they noticed something unusual. A strange cave had opened up during the blast. The cave seemed ancient, as if it had been there for centuries, though the team had no prior knowledge of its existence. The professor, intrigued by this discovery, insisted that their investigation should take place here. Following his lead, Roland gave his team permission to proceed into the unknown territory. The cave was massive, stretching far into the distance. As they descended further, the professor suddenly took the lead, holding a flashlight and heading deeper into the darkness. Roland and the other workers were confused and worried, wondering where the professor was going without informing them. While searching for the professor, they came across a skeleton, which seemed to belong to one of their own, a worker who had been trapped in the mine for many years. Roland realized that this might be the very employee who had disappeared in the mining area years ago. The body had decayed entirely, leaving behind only the skeleton. As the workers looked around, they noticed strange letters written on the walls, seemingly in blood. The inscriptions were in a language none of them could understand, which further heightened their anxiety. Despite these eerie signs, they continued their search for the professor. As they moved forward, they spotted a flashlight in the distance. It was the professor, who was busy taking photos of something unknown. Roland, filled with anger, rushed toward the professor and grabbed him by the throat, furious that he had ventured off without permission, endangering everyone's lives with his reckless behavior. Roland began choking him, frustrated by the professor's irresponsibility. The professor quickly apologized, explaining that he had stumbled upon something extraordinary and mysterious, and he should have asked for their permission before moving ahead. However, he couldn't resist pursuing what he had found. The professor revealed that he had uncovered ancient artifacts and believed this was no ordinary cave. He suspected it was once used by kings and rulers in ancient times, perhaps as a secret base. If they could uncover these hidden treasures, they could potentially make a fortune. Roland and the other workers, initially angry, were now influenced by the professor's words. They began to see the opportunity for wealth, and the idea of finding something valuable tempted them. After all, none of them wanted to spend their entire lives working in the mines. The professor continued explaining to the workers that if they found all the ancient treasures, they could sell them and become rich. The workers, including Roland, agreed to follow his plan. The professor instructed them to carry out a series of blasts as he believed there was something valuable behind the right-hand wall. Following his guidance, the workers set a small dynamite charge. Soon after the explosion, the hollow wall shattered entirely. As the professor and the workers entered the newly opened area, they saw intricate carvings on the walls, giving the space an ancient, mystical vibe. The language etched on the walls was foreign and long forgotten. The professor had been right all along. This was no ordinary cave. They found several ancient artifacts that hinted at a rich history, likely belonging to an ancient civilization. The professor seemed unusually familiar with everything they uncovered, inspecting each artifact with great detail, as if he had knowledge of this place beforehand. It became clear that the professor might have been pretending to discover it for the first time. As the workers ventured deeper into the cave, they stumbled upon a shocking sight, a spot littered with countless skeletons, the remains of those who had been trapped and died there over the centuries. In the center of the chamber stood a strange, ominous coffin. The professor rushed over to examine it closely, running his fingers over the intricate carvings on the surface. When he translated the ancient inscriptions, he explained to Roland and the others that these coffins and the artifacts were remnants of an ancient Egyptian empire. This entire area had been buried during an earthquake, sealing it underground for centuries. The professor was convinced that there might be a hidden treasure somewhere in the ruins, buried beneath the debris. Excited by the possibility, he began taking as many photographs as possible, studying every detail of the ancient objects. One of the coffins had a peculiar structure, appearing as though something inside had tried to escape. The sight of it unnerved the workers, but their greed for the treasure kept them moving forward. However, as the workers continued their search, hoping to find the treasure, disaster struck. Suddenly, a massive landslide began inside the mine. Large rocks started falling from the ceiling, and the walls shook violently. The entire cave threatened to collapse, putting everyone's lives in immediate danger. Their greed had led them too deep into the cursed ruins, and now they faced the consequences of disturbing the ancient resting place. And now, while trying to escape from the falling rocks, an employee named Santini's leg gets stuck. His leg was completely trapped under a large stone, and it seemed that it was damaged. When Roland checked on him, he found that Santini couldn't even get out properly, meaning his leg was severely injured, and the exit route was now blocked. When the other workers tried to help Santini, he was in a lot of pain and was stuck there. Roland then went straight to the professor and started to choke him, saying that all of this happened because of him. If the professor hadn't rushed, they wouldn't be stuck here. But now was not the time for fighting. They needed to find a way out as soon as possible, or else they would remain trapped without food and water and would eventually die. Meanwhile, Roland and his employees were trying to help Santini get out, but his condition was so bad that they couldn't get him out. Reluctantly, Roland and his colleagues had to amputate Santini's leg, which was the only way to free him. They placed something in Santini's mouth to muffle his screams and slowly cut off his leg. Santini fainted completely, and they placed him aside so he could rest. Now we see another employee named Med, who got separated from them due to the landslide. Med ran straight to a place surrounded by walls but noticed a secluded small cave inside. As he cautiously entered, he suddenly came face to face with his colleague, Lewis. Lewis asked Med to come with him, and they went to a spot where the ancient tomb was located, where their friend Polo was also present. The three of them decided that they would open the tomb themselves and take the treasure. However, despite their efforts, they could not open the tomb because it was tightly shut and would definitely require some kind of key. When Lewis noticed a strange circular object on the tomb, he realized what was needed. He quickly went to his bag and brought back an odd structure that he had found inside the cave. Lewis immediately inserts the small structure into the strange circular slot, causing a magic effect that makes the tomb open by itself. Once the tomb is opened properly, they are astonished to find numerous diamonds inside. These diamonds are so ancient that their value in the black market is incredibly high. The three of them are overjoyed at the sight of all these treasures. Med suggests that he will go and bring Roland and the other employees, but Lewis threatens him, saying that they can't do that, this treasure belongs to them, and they will divide it among the three of them. However, Med wants all the employees to share the treasure since they are all very poor and also need money. But Lewis forcefully drives Med away because he doesn't want to share the diamonds with him. Crying, Med runs back to the others to inform them about the situation. Polo and Lewis have gone crazy over the diamonds, especially Polo, who examines them closely. They both feel extremely happy, thinking that they won't need to work anymore. They can live comfortably by selling these diamonds. Lewis and Polo are sitting together when suddenly they hear a strange noise coming from right behind them. They look around but don't see anything, and the sound continues to grow louder. Scared, Lewis and Polo start running back to the others. On the way, they encounter Med, who has seen something strange behind him. He is so frightened that he starts shouting and runs to the others. But Lewis says, "Why are we running? There's no one else in this cave besides us, it must be the echo causing the sound." Meanwhile, Santini, who was lying down, sees a strange figure creeping up behind Polo. Polo feels it too, and everyone else can see it as well. A large hand, not human but monstrous, reaches out from behind Polo. The monster attacked Polo directly and quickly dragged him into the cave. Roland and the other workers followed behind in an attempt to rescue Polo, but sadly, Polo was brutally killed, with the creature finishing him off in an instant. Roland paid his last respects to his friend, and they all gathered together. Afterward, he called Med and Lewis and began asking them what the truth was and what mess they had created together. Med explained everything, detailing how Lewis and Polo had opened the unknown tomb from which the creature emerged because they had found many ancient diamonds that Polo and Lewis wanted to take for themselves. They had even frightened him into leaving. In the midst of all this, Roland suddenly remembered that they had left Santini behind, who was still lying on the ground and could be in danger. For this reason, Roland and a few others started making their way back to Santini. Santini was resting peacefully when he suddenly began to hear strange noises from one direction. However, due to the darkness, he couldn't see anything. Then he took one of the professor's cameras and used the flash, revealing that there was a dangerous creature with a body made entirely of skeletons. Its sharp, pointed hands were incredibly menacing, and it was now moving toward Santini. When Roland and his team arrived at the spot, they could clearly see that the dangerous creature had grabbed Santini with its hands. They all started screaming, but in the next moment, the creature reached into Santini's head and tore out all of his internal organs. The workers had never seen such things in their lives, and they were all terrified. However, Roland took courage and led them all to a safe place. On the other side, we see the professor with one of the workers, who is still trying to decode the symbols written on the wall. These symbols might give them clues about who the creature is and why all these events are happening to them. As they kept traveling, they came across a cave that had a door. As they continued their journey, they encountered a strange circular path that could be opened to access the other side. Once they crossed over, they found Polo's dead body there, indicating that the dangerous creature resided in this place and could appear at any moment. But what about the professor? The professor was solely focused on conducting his investigation and research. He decoded all the symbols and discovered that this creature had been present for many years due to a curse. As long as it continued to kill people and absorb their bodies, its powers would grow, making it immortal, and its curse would never end. It attracted ordinary humans according to their needs, showing poor workers gold, silver, and strange ancient items to lure them into coming here. Thus began the terrifying game of this dangerous creature. Now, the employees present noticed that the creature was moving toward them and stood right in front of them. However, the professor was not afraid of the creature at all and approached it. In fact, he had learned some languages that allowed him to communicate with the creature, and now he was reaching out to touch it. For some reason, the creature embraced the professor and did nothing to him. Seeing all this, the other worker became extremely frightened and started to run away, locking himself in a strange place where the creature could not reach him. Meanwhile, we see Roland, Louis, Med, and the other workers discussing that they needed to find a way to get out of there quickly, or the creature could attack them at any moment. Med started telling Louis that he was the one who acted hastily, wanting all the diamonds for himself, which is why he opened the tomb and scared Med away so that the others wouldn't find out about it. When everyone learned about Louis's dirty plan, they became very angry with him, but their top priority was to get out of there. As they were searching for a way out, they began to hear the creature's voice, which was gradually getting closer to them. They all decided to turn off their torches, but this was their folly because the creature was still attacking. It first caught Louis with its massive, sharp hands and then continued to kill several workers. Adam, who had come here to work, was also killed, but Roland and Med managed to escape, running ahead. When Med was standing against the wall, the dangerous creature grabbed his legs and pulled him into the cave. Roland was unable to do anything to save his companions, and now he was possibly the only one left among so many people. However, Roland was not one to give up easily. He kept moving forward. He saw an exit, but to reach it, he had to climb up. Now, we see Med slowly opening his eyes, which means the creature has not killed him yet. As soon as Med saw the creature, he noticed it was sitting on a throne, holding Louis's head, which it had just severed from his body. Med was very frightened by this and grabbed a knife. As the creature approached him to kill him, Med plunged the knife into its body and began to run away. Med screamed so loudly that Roland heard him and started guiding him, saying to come this way. Med climbed on top of a skeleton mound made from the bodies of those who had come here over the years. Roland was sitting above a strange opening and reached out to help Med. Both of them began to climb up toward the exit. The frightening thing was that the creature was now coming after them. Roland said that he already knew this would happen, which is why he had placed dynamite in that spot to blast the creature away. But they had to get out quickly. Although they were trying to climb up, Med realized they couldn't escape the creature this way. So, he told Roland to go ahead and that he would take care of the creature. Roland understood that Med was trying to sacrifice himself and knew that the opening was still very high up. Thus, Roland, disregarding his own safety, rushed back to help Med. They decided to destroy the creature together so it couldn't harm anyone else. Together, they detonated the dynamite, causing a huge explosion that killed the creature along with Roland. And this is where the story ends.